Reed. Harrison Reed, wriggling clear, and Willian scores! And that should make sure of matters for Fulham.
Fulham 3, Leeds United 2. Wow, another tough day out for Leeds. It started hopefully with a Rodrigo Moreno goal, but Fulham responded with 3 unanswered from Mitrovic, Bobby Reed and Willian, respectively. I'd love to see the 65-year-old Willian get on the score sheet in the Premier League again. Leeds have not won in 8 games, Rog. Flames are starting to lick your mate Jesse Marsch's tailored denims.
It's desperate to stem the free fall against Fulham with their American contingent. Jesse Marsch rang in 6 changes in search of what he said was fresh legs. No Tyler Adams. He had a knock at Leicester, which is, please God, as Jesse said, just an issue for, quote, a few days. 20-year-old Sam Greenwood started as the defensive shield in his place. A converted striker, a tall order to try and fill that role. Panic levels among the Leeds fans were at 11 before kickoff. And perhaps the biggest tactical change of all, this is the week for this conversation. What's going on? Jesse went blue denim, Davo, grey stonewash. Didn't even make the starting squad.
Yeah, was it a dark blue denim? Was it some kind of a chino? I'm not quite sure. I was more alarmed by the bomber jacket, Rog, and a bomber jacket which you'd normally wear with a t-shirt, maybe with a collared shirt if you're a mod. But he went with a Henley underneath the bomber, and underneath the Henley a grey t-shirt. That was a lot. When your job's on the line, that was a pretty bold choice of outfit.
It's tactically incoherent, and it did not go as we hoped and prayed. Leeds were Mitrovic, and Fulham summer signing Andreas Pereira also showed the kind of quality savvy scouting that Fulham have finally learned that intelligent recruitment is preferable. Who would have thought this, to putting piles of cash in a garbage can and set it on fire? At the final whistle, there was that haunting scene of Jesse Marsch gamely walking up to the furious Leeds fans, clapping them as they booed him back. A move some English media interpreted as him saying goodbye. He's expecting to be fired, but I do know Jesse quite well. This was him trying to show his players that he wouldn't hide in the worst of times, that he would take responsibility, that he would go and authentically reconnect to the fans and take responsibility in that moment. He really believes that, and he then said, I've got the backing of the board, which he does. They do want this to work. They briefed the press. They want to resist making a knee-jerk reaction. They are invested in him. They know that they sold the club's goal machine, Rafinha. They even sold Dan James on the last day of the window. They let the club's heartbeat, Kalvin Phillips, who's played 1 minute for City since going. They let him leave too, and they have not adequately replaced any of them, left this squad dangerously thin. And a lot of this doesn't feel like Jesse Marsch's fault, Davo. But in these situations, we've seen this. I mean, we've seen this in so many clubs with the World Cup coming closer and closer, which is the time to change managers. When the fans do turn against a club and a club is in free fall, with the World Cup coming up, it's the manager who goes, right?
Yeah, and there's also the complication of Bielsa, who, such a legend amongst those Leeds fans as well. And look, it's not like the fans didn't embrace Jesse Marsch. They definitely did embrace Jesse Marsch. And he deserved to be embraced with the performances that Leeds, started with at the beginning of this season. It's not looking great. Defensive, they look way better going forward than they do defending. The quality of every team in the Premier League, including the newly promoted sides, who all seem to be playing with a bit more nous this year. It's going to be tough going. I hope the board stick by him. I do think he's the right manager for this team, for this group of players. But they're going to need reinforcements come January if he's going to hold out till the end of the season.
Speaking to journalists who cover Leeds on the regs, they say they believe he has one more game against Liverpool at the weekend. I feel an agony for Jesse. Those 2 wins to open the season, that delirious piece of misdirection. If Jesse's guilty of anything, apart from the early antics on the sideline, I think it's of trying to set up his team to play such exhausting, hard-charging football in a season when the games come so thick and so fast because of the World Cup break that it's almost self-sabotaging with such a tiny squad to do so. And the bright side is, I mean, I don't want to talk like this, but the conversation about who will be available to be the manager of the United States team in the 2026 cycle. That doesn't feel like a bright side right now, and Godspeed to him the weekend. But for the young US players, this gent with his intelligent leadership, exactly, you can make the case he's exactly the face the US men's national team needs going forward. We will see. Listen to the full version of this podcast and all our podcasts wherever you get your pods. But first, subscribe here for more Men in Blazers videos and courage.